Hello and welcome to Geography News.
Today, our top story, to what extent does the North-South divide still exist? Our first interview is with Sophie Robinson, who is with Margaret Thatcher, who has kindly reincarnated for us to chat with us about the issue.
Disclaimer. Results mentioned in the programme are from a survey released to the general public via social media to Facebook groups in the North and South, based on 15 questions from the 2011 census data.
So, Mrs Thatcher, what do you think caused the North-South divide in England and why do you think this is important?
The gap between the North and South dates back to the medieval period. Key factors that have helped split the North and the South include the Industrial Revolution, World Wars and political divides. The Industrial Revolution saw the expansion of the North through the need for materials such as coal and cotton. These materials were being mass-produced due to a momentous rise in demand and saw the UK's output per worker become more significant than any other country at the time. This saw northern cities such as Liverpool and Manchester expand vastly in both population and income per household, as intense labour was required to maintain manufacturing, making the people that lived there very hard working. However, after World War I, the industry crashed and burned as the demand for these materials fell due to a weak global economy resulting from the war, meaning the only reason they remained functional was to keep hundreds of thousands in work and keep the northern economy stable. It was funded largely by the government to remain operational as profitability became minimal. Whilst the North became dependent on government assets, the South prospered, creating jobs in the service sector, which caused both a political and social divide. It was funded largely by the government to remain operational as profitability became minimal. Whilst the North became dependent on government assets, the South prospered, creating jobs in the service sector, which caused both a social and political divide. The South saw the North as dependent on taxes and government spending for money that they had earned, making more southern counties more conservative, whilst the North further backed Labour. The South's economy was based around private enterprise, avoiding government reliance, which caused further political unrest across the country. This caused millions to rely on government support North. However, when I came into power, I saw this as a threat to the nation, so I decided to cut the North from government spending, shut coal mines and many other various factories in order to protect the UK economy from further plunder and to try and create a stronger nation at the cost of an even further social divide. This step made the South become even more well off than they were before, as business was at an all-time peak, while cities like London prospering more than they ever have before.
Earlier today, our team caught up with the Prime Minister Boris Johnson at the press conference discussing the North-South divide.
Prime Minister! Prime Minister!
You.
What's the biggest factor causing this North-South divide, as there's 10% more people earning 50 to 150,000 in the South compared to the North?
I'll say the main difference would be that the quality and quantity of jobs available in the North is a lot worse than the ones in the South. So in the North, there's significantly less. As shown in studies, as in 2013 there were more than 2 million more jobs in the South compared to the North. As well as this, the salaries are about £4,000 a year less in the North. As shown there, on average a lot more people earn more in the South compared to the North. Next question please. Yes, you please.
What is causing this economic divide to worsen?
Well, it's the inequality and investment that really makes a difference. Treasury data has shown that if the North matched London's investment in 2014, it would have granted an extra 61 billion into the economy, which allowed more investment in transport, infrastructure and education. My goal is to have 1,000 more schools as good as the one that I went to, which was Eton. And final question, please.
The government are bringing in the Levelling Up scheme to help reduce this divide. What really is the aim of it and how will this help?
Well, the Levelling Up Fund's goal is to bring together multiple organisations to invest 4.8 billion into high-value local infrastructure. This is to improve ex-industrial areas, deprived towns and coastal communities. This will cover the entirety of England, helping where it's needed the most. Thank you very much.
Right, so next on today's show, we've got a very special interview with a businesswoman who moved down to the South for more business opportunities. So, can you tell me what attracted you to the South?
It was the southeast of England actually where I was most attracted to, just for the many job opportunities found there, like particularly London. I knew that by getting a job here it would lead to me getting involved in bigger companies, which would lead me to getting better opportunities. The southeast, especially London, has been described as an escalator region, as it promotes its own citizens whilst attracting young educated people from other areas and especially promoting interregional migration.
So you said you felt there were more job opportunities in the southeast. Can you tell us what types of jobs they were?
All the jobs were mainly with bigger TNCs. There's a lot of banking jobs due to it being London being the capital of banking. There's also a lot of project managing, some in law and a lot in the public sector due to its higher population. Furthermore, jobs found in London tend to have higher incomes, with the average salary in London being £39,700 a year, whereas in places like Manchester, it was £35,000 a year. in our data we collected, we found that 52.7% of respondents in the north are currently employed, whereas in the south 67% of respondents are currently employed, suggesting greater opportunities for employment down south.
So you've spoken mainly about the southeast of England and particularly London, but what is the employment like in the southwest of England?
Well, actually, the southwest of England is a lot less attractive for job opportunities. A lot of companies avoid basing down here just for its poor connectedness. Places like Cornwall especially, they're known more as holiday destinations, and they only really offer either agricultural jobs or seasonal hospitality work, and that results in incomes in the area being a lot lower.
Next up, we have an interview with a doctor at Bournemouth Hospital to see if there's a health divide between the north and the south of England.
Can you please tell us if there is a health divide between the north and south of England?
Yes, there is a difference in people's state of health. A report written at Manchester University in 2017 showed that since 1965, around 1.2 million more people have died before the age of 75 in the north than in the south of England. By 2016, per 100,000, approximately 1,000 more males died between the age of 25 and 44 in the north compared to in the south each year.
And is this still the case today?
Yes, in a recent survey that we collected from the general public to vote on their own health statuses, that despite the same number of people in both the south and the north putting that their health is very bad, more people in the south voted to have good health than in the north. 7% of northerners put that they have bad health compared to only 3.6% of southerners.
What are the causes for these differences?
The first cause is the financial difference. Unemployment rates are much higher in the north than in the south. In our own research, 15% more northerners declared unemployment compared to in the south. And people living in poverty are not able to meet basic needs, and this is a vicious circle. It leads to high stress levels, which can also increase risk of diseases. The second reason is that people's life choices are different. For example, the number of people dying from alcohol-related deaths are higher in the north than anywhere else in England. And the final reason is the climate. Vitamin D deficiency has been associated with a range of illnesses, and the weather is significantly better in the south than in the north.
Now over to our housing correspondent, Jacob Nuttall.
Oh, hi guys, fancy seeing you here. I'm Jacob Nuttall with Geography News. In 2011, the rate of home ownership varied between 62 and 70%, with the two northern regions being very below average at 64%. One study showed that you can now buy 25 houses in the north for the same price as an average 3-bedroom house in the most expensive part of the south. The difference between the average house pricing across England in the northern regions and the southern regions is now £163,000. The cost of living in the northern regions are now £8,521 compared to the south at £11,536, with council tax being one of the biggest bills, with the average in the south at £2,492 and in the north only having to pay £1,421. There are many other smaller factors that can contribute towards housing pricing differences between the north and the south. One of these being the land on which the housing is being built on. It's substantially more in the south, which has a big impact on house pricing, as you can see in these graphs. Jacob Nuttall, and I'm out.
Now we understand the divide, let's see what actions are taking place to help lessen it. Here's me chatting with Mark Thurston earlier to see what him and his company are doing. How exactly can these proposed rail strategies reduce the divide?
Well, improvements in transport is key part of the government's vision for the Northern Powerhouse, which hopefully will create a super-connected, globally competitive northern economy. Improvements of transport links to the north will increase interconnectivity, attracting more companies to locate to the north. The main project for this is HS2, which is going to be a high-speed railway which will connect towns and cities in the south, Midlands and north with faster, easier and more reliable travel. It will serve 25 towns and cities, including 8 of Britain's 10 largest cities, connecting around 30 million people. The trains will carry over 300,000 passengers a day, or 100 million a year.
How much is this going to cost?
It's expensive, it's £56 billion, but the cost of the project will be split to £1 to £2 billion annually.
And how many jobs will this create?
Well, currently 20,000 jobs are supported, and throughout the life of the construction it will provide 22,000 construction jobs. But by the end of the project, hopefully the increased movement will act as a catalyst for local growth, allowing England's economy to rebalance and thrive.